back to the Western Wilds and our mini series on can you make money from grapes. The last job we have to do with the grapes before we harvest them is to fertilize them, so we're going to do that. This is, probably not the most authentic way of fertilizing grapes. Obviously you have the sprayers that run down each of the gaps between the vines, but this is quicker, and this is not about being super authentic. This is about looking at the details of can we actually make money from this. I'm just going to set the auto width for the spreader because the heading is still set from when I was doing the subsoiling. So it was subsoiling, wasn't it? So hopefully we can just run this on GPS and it'll be a fairly nice quick job. And then I'm going to skip ahead a bunch of time and get into harvesting the grapes and seeing just how much of a yield we get off of this. I think this is going to be the penultimate video in this series. I'm going to do one more where I'm probably going to be in PowerPoint mostly, if I'm honest, looking at the financial side of things with how many grapes we end up harvesting, what they're worth, productions, effects of other mods, that kind of thing. We'll have a bit of a dive into the finances, but I want to do that as a separate summary video because A, this video is already 20 odd minutes long, and B, I suspect more people in the future will just want to watch the summary and not go along on the little journey, because that's how people are. They want the instant gratification of the answer is this, not this is the process that we followed. So those of you that are watching this and enjoying it, awesome, but I know that the vast majority of that, you just compare the first video and the second video. The first video got more than double the views of the second video, and I think that's because people clicked on it expecting to get an instant answer. So that is why I'm going to do a separate summary video, and I think it'll be nice to just condense it. I need a bit of time to collect my thoughts on how this has gone. I did have a quick run through some of the finances last night after I finished recording this, but it would be, I wanted a bit more time. If you've got any, so I had a quick look on ModHub at productions that make use of grapes that weren't the base game ones. But if you've got suggestions for, really looking for cheap productions that make use of grapes, then stick those down in the comments for me so I can include those in what I have a look at. I found the mods, that give you much cheaper placing of vines, that I'll have a look at factoring that in as well. I think most of the kit that I used is relatively cheap. The plot of land wasn't particularly expensive, and really the only reoccurring cost we've had is the interest on the loan that we needed to make use of to put down all of the vines that we had. So and that's kind of why I want to do a separate full-on summary of the finances, because if we made the vines cheaper, we maybe wouldn't have needed the loan, so we wouldn't have been paying interest on the loan, so all that kind of thing. If you like your spreadsheets and your PowerPoint, then stand by. I'm not sure when I'm going to get that video done. It will be sometime in the next week probably. Yeah, I just need to sit down and do all the analysis. I am pondering ideas for another mini series like this. I have asked on the Patreon page as to what they think. I'm wondering whether it's worth doing olives. I have a feeling the answer is going to be very similar, but yeah, curious about doing olives. The other one that I'm curious about is sugarcane. But if you've got any suggestions in general for little mini series things, then stick them in the comments below. I think at this point I'm going to say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you all supporting the channel. So I'm going to skip ahead time now to harvest, because there is literally nothing else to do with grapes. I mean, they're quite a low effort crop, particularly if you can set them up the way I have on here, and you can run course play. And the really big cost is placing the vines. Now, I don't really know much about grapes, but I wonder whether it really costs £350,000, dollars, or euros to place a vineyard. I have no idea. So we're going to use the Euro Grape Liner. I'm going to go just with the basic stock to make it as cheap as possible. Because we don't spend any more than we need. It is going to cost us £12,000, dollars, or euros to lease it, which is not cheap. That's why we're holding on to some cash. And then I'm going to need a grape trailer. So I made a slight error here. So I was thinking that if we go for the big trailer, because I'm not expecting a huge yield off of here, maybe we can fit all of the grapes in the big trailer. And then I'm just going to hang on to the trailer. So it's 1,900 euros, but the per month is only 400. So I thought that would be quite cheap to hold on to until we get to the point where grapes have the best price. That plan does not work out. Slight spoiler in terms of how many grapes we get. But so I kept the almost perfect amount of money. We were just able to lease everything that we needed. Yes, the trailer is ridiculous on our little tractor, but hey, it seems to handle it just fine. I'm going to do a mixture with the harvesting of Courseplay and me driving, just to kind of break it up. For me, it was kind of late when I recorded this, so yeah. Well, when I recorded the video, not when I'm recording the commentary. Yeah, I was going to go into talking about something, but just completely skipped my mind. Yeah, that was it. You may have noticed in some of the videos that sound, the mic was a little bit noisy or distorted. That was because I had attempted to take one step closer to the microphone to make my voice louder, and it was getting too loud, so I have taken a step back. Because the distortion isn't helping. So yeah, there is that. I have changed that slightly, and I'm trying to keep my voice at a more even volume, which I find quite difficult. So I occasionally get a little bit louder, but not very often. So yeah, and yeah, we're just going to get these grapes harvested. So I have yet to really, completely irrelevant topic to this, but you know, the grapes are going to be harvested. I've yet to really dive into the Govile. I know Smock did tell me how to pronounce it, but I can't remember. But I've not really dived into the new DLC in a lot of detail. I obviously had a little bit of a play with it with the update to Maze Plus to see how it worked with that, but I'm kind of looking forward to having a play with some of the tech. So one of the reasons that I used this harvester is someone had said that you can drive alongside it and it will empty. Now the bit that I get wrong is that it empties from the other side, and even when I could get access to the other side, I couldn't get it to work. So you know, anyway, it didn't really matter. It was certainly easier to unload tipping from the side rather than tipping from the back like the New Holland does. The other thing I will say is that Courseplay does a much better job with the harvester these days. The last time that I have attempted this once before, and I found that the harvester really struggled with getting stuck on the vines, and that seems to be much better. Whether it's because the collisions are more generous on this harvester versus the New Holland one, I do not know, but it's kind of cool. So yeah, the new DLC I'm looking forward to getting stuck into. I'm probably going to use it on Attingham, I think, in the future. Maybe Greenlands as well, who knows. I can see it being one of those DLCs that I have active most of the time, because it just adds in some cool stuff that occasionally I'll use, a bit like the DSA multiplayer. I think it was Drive 53 has a video towing the stationary baler behind a forage harvester. But if you're going to do that, you might as well just use the DSA multi-baler, in my opinion, because it's meant to do that, and it'll probably behave much better. Yeah, and it's one of the partnered modding teams with the Farming Agency, so why wouldn't I encourage you to use their mod? if you're going to use it with Maize Plus, go and get the Maize Plus version from their Discord, not the version that's on ModHub. But so just looking at the price for grapes, so we're going to get a best price on here of £1,600 dollars or euros per 1,000 litres. I do know on here we have the option of using the train sell point, which gives you 50% more, but I'm not going to use that because that's artificially increasing the value. So we're just going to go with the value for the normal sell point. Because we're 70% full, I am going to tip, and I still have not realised at this point which side we empty out of. So yeah, I think I realise here when I see where the kind of bin of grapes is. Yeah, give me a break. Give me a break. Yeah, so I'm going to use kind of, you know, no advantages, particularly when I work out the finances, like using a sell point that pays 50% more, which is what the train does on here. I used the Western Wilds really just to have a nice open plot of land to place the vineyard on. This Calmston would have been a good one as well with some open plots on there, but you know, this has worked perfectly well for the testing that we're doing. And yeah, it was about half an hour to harvest the grapes, which wasn't too bad. I've had a bit of feedback from people saying never done grapes, or some people saying have done them but don't really know whether they were worthwhile, because, you know, how many people just do a farm? So this is me attempting to fit between the vines and unload on the move. You can guess how well this went. Yeah, not particularly, if I'm honest. And it wouldn't unload on the move anyway. I ended up doing a test on the final vine where the bin is facing out, and it didn't particularly work either. So, you know, anyway, yeah, I think most people that have done grapes have done them with other things. I know VF started doing a series with just grapes. And then he started doing all sorts of other things, which makes it really hard to isolate whether you can make money from grapes. So that's what this mini series is. And you know, I think so. And again, I have said before, I did try and do this in the past, but trying to do it in a single, you know, you can fit the gameplay in a single video probably with, you know, a lot of time lapsing and jumping of stuff. But what you can't do is, or what I was struggling with, is the amount of game time it was taking me, particularly as I wanted to do more than 1 year on there. I actually don't think it's worth doing more years. I think I can just work it out from here because the yield's not going to change. I don't think we're going to be in a position where we can expand the vineyard at all. So, you know, I think what we're looking at is, I was trying to get GPS to set up. You know, what we're really looking at is, can we at least cover the cost of setting all this stuff up before we look at making a profit? I mean, you can see that every couple of vines, whatever they're called, every couple of runs, we're getting about 1,500 litres of grapes. So, yeah. I think there is a mod as well that gives you a higher yield for grapes, but yeah, the base, I did missed a couple there. Oh, I don't think that's going to make a big difference. The whole premise of doing this is, initially, with how Giants have set it up, are they viable as a crop? You know, I think Daggerwind's done grapes a few times, but you lose. Yeah, if you're running a farm that is generally very profitable, you could easily lose the fact that, you know, you're never going to recover the 300,000 that we spent placing the vines. I'm really foreshadowing the outcome of this, but I am going to do a proper analysis of it because it's what I enjoy. But yeah, this Grape Harvester is a nice bit of kit. This is the one, I think it was on the Giants release. I can't remember if it was a free thing that they released or if it was free if you had the season pass or something like that. I don't remember, but it's a nice bit of kit. I've definitely found it easier to drive than the New Holland one. I did find personally driving the New Holland one that I got stuck a lot. I think it's better to do grape harvesting in cab because you're trying to keep on a very specific line. Yeah, so we're going to get this done, and the next video we'll have a look at the outcome. And definitely, if you've got suggestions, even if so this sort of stuff I kind of enjoy because it's like doing a tutorial or a how-to, and I like doing those. I enjoy them generally as much as just playing the game because I like to work out how things work in the game. So it's why I did all the ones for animals. All of those most profitable animals videos were just because I enjoy working these things out. And I've kind of done all of those, and it's why I'm tempted with olives and maybe sugarcane, because sugarcane's again one of those crops that it's quite time consuming to plant. The harvesting kit is very expensive, so if you plant a sane size amount of sugarcane, is it going to be profitable? And on this, because the big cost is the vines, scale is less of a problem. And leasing the harvester was not cheap; it was 12 grand. But actually, the big cost is in you still have to pay for the land, and then you have to pay a huge amount for the vines. And yes, they will regrow. And it may be that if you play an FS save for 10, 15 years, it becomes profitable. It may be that if you're on a map that has a vineyard placed already and buying the field is not expensive, it is more profitable. I intentionally didn't choose a map that had vineyards placed because the cost of the vines is significant. So this is me filling the trailer, so we do need to now do something with storing the grapes, because at the moment it's a £700 per 1,000 litre difference, and we really do want to maximise the price. So I'm just going to jump out to Mod Hub and find something to store the grapes in. And I found a grape storage mod that was pretty cheap, so it's only going to cost us 5 grand. I think the smallest one holds 100,000 litres, so we're obviously going to get nowhere near filling that, but we do need to borrow a bit of cash, so the loan's going to go up to a bit more, so our interest payment's going to go up until we can sell the grapes and recover that money. So we're just going to borrow another 5 grand. While we're waiting, we're going to end up in debt, obviously, while we're waiting to sell them. So that's kind of a thing. But apart from next year leasing the harvester again, we have everything we need to repeat the cycle. So we've got the pruner, we've got the mulcher, we've got subsoil, we've got fertilizer left. So there's no the next outlay is apart from having just spent 5 grand would need to lease a trailer to sell the grapes. I would lease the smaller one, do multiple trips, and we would need to lease the harvester and a trailer again next year. So kind of reoccurring costs, which I will factor in when I do the analysis. We'll do a bit of spreadsheetage. So I was kind of confused as to why I couldn't see a trigger, but if you look on the back of the ISO container, it says open first. So we'll get the trailer out of the way and we'll open it up to store our grapes in. Yeah, there were a few options for storage, but some of them were a lot more expensive, so we'll go for the cheapest option of basically, I guess, chucking the grapes on the floor of an ISO container. I did look at because grapes aren't in the bulk group, they won't go in most silos, which is kind of annoying, but I guess you wouldn't put grapes in most silos. So, and I'm assuming that the harvester picks them off individually rather than in bunches. I have no idea. But yet we have a bit more debt now, but we have somewhere to store the grapes to wait until the best price. So we definitely need to wait until the best price at this point. There's no way we can't do that. We might have been able to get a cheaper trailer. But I don't think that's going to be the deciding factor. So, yeah. So we've got 12,000, nearly 13,000 litres of grapes so far. We've got a small number of vines left to harvest. The steering on that harvest is really cool. It's very mechanical by the looks of it. You know, with the whatever, the rods and the arms and stuff stuck out front like that. But anyway, harvesting done. Let's go see how many grapes we got. And come on, there we go. Let's go see how many grapes we got, and we'll you know, I'm going to go away and do all the maths, and that's going to be in a separate video because yeah, one of the things I am struggling with, it's been very, very worn out this week, so I don't know how many videos will come out. I was kind of messed up yesterday. Yesterday for me, so it's Thursday today. Releasing 3 videos yesterday was not intentional, but required. So because I released one in the middle that I would have held on to. I didn't realise that the Maize Plus update was going to drop when it did. So yeah, let's return the harvester. We didn't do an extra hour, so no extra costs there, which is cool. It's nice that we could get that done in 0.6 out of an hour, so about 36 minutes. And we've got 16,500 litres of grapes, so that's our harvest. So, you know, if you really want, you can do a bit of the math yourself to give you an idea of how much we've made from our nearly, well, now over £500,000 investment in grapeage. So yeah, the numbers do not look favourable, but I will do a more in-depth analysis of them. So brain lock. Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button. Comments, questions, answers to all my questions, stick them below, and I'll see you next time to run through what we've learned from the finances.